to be able to share with you. And we've been married 46, it'll be 47 years, October 1st. And, you know, we've learned a couple things. We have, and so it's just going to be fun to share. I love partnering again with Pieter and Melinda and what they're going after. And our team, you're going to love our team. Some of you know them, and some of you, they're going to be brand new.
And they're actually in the studio, so if you hear laughter, that's
yeah.
that's them.
I'm thinking of just what we're going to talk about today, and I mentioned in the beginning opening about investments. And, you know, investing is such a powerful concept. And it says in Galatians 6:7, it says, whatever a man sows, he will also reap. And so just really determining, okay, what am I going to sow in my life? What am I going to sow in my marriage? What am I going to plant? It says in 1 Corinthians 3:6, Paul said, I planted, Apollos watered, and God gave the increase. And so there's a principle here of planting, watering, and then God brings the increase. Because again, the Lord, he's into marriages.
He is. But on the opposite side of that is you can also sow negative stuff into your marriage. And that's not as much fun to reap.
No, and you know, we've all done that. And so we're gonna talk today about just some things to keep sowing or keep doing specific things. I think we got up about 5. You know, we're gonna talk about keep growing, keep respecting, keep believing, keep prioritizing,
and keep encouraging.
And so these are things just, and we know there's people who are watching who maybe your spouse is not participating. We understand we're talking to people who've you're really in a great season in your marriage. And we're also talking maybe to those who it's not a good season and you're really needing some major breakthrough. I believe that all of these 5 are going to relate so powerfully.
No matter where you are.
No matter where. And so the first one is keep growing. Keep growing. And this is so important, Wendy, because my happiness doesn't depend on you.
Thank goodness.
I mean, obviously you can impact me, and I can impact you and through behaviors, but ultimately we're powerful people. Yeah. Ultimately understanding that I'm not looking to you to meet all of my needs. And that's a real, again, that's a place of power. I'm not codependent upon you.
Yeah, and I think, too, growing means that we start taking care of what I call the buttons in our life. You know, that we talk about relationships and we'll say something like, oh, they're always pushing my buttons. Well, the key is get rid of the buttons then. Those things that if they keep bothering you, maybe we need to change a belief system so that they don't keep bothering us.
Yeah.
And I really believe that the best thing you can do for your marriage is just grow on the inside so that you're a healthier person emotionally and able to handle the strife. Because if you're a person who's always in anxiety and fear, that really can mess up a marriage. We love to be at peace in a marriage, but if you're never in peace even outside the marriage, then there's something that we need to work on.
We travel a lot, and you know, we get on planes and they give the speech before the plane takes off, and they say, in case, I can't remember the exact, cabin pressure, decline, the oxygen masks are going to fall. Please put them on yourself first before trying to help another. Yeah. And because the principle there is that if I'm trying to help everybody else out and not taking care of me and I die in the process, well, that didn't work out. That didn't work out. So prioritizing ourselves. It's like even Jesus said in Matthew 7, he said, judge not and you will not be judged. And he says, hey, before you try to take the toothpick out of your brother's eye, or we'll say spouse's eye, make this relatable, first take out the telephone pole out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly on how to help your brother or how to help your spouse. And so this growth piece of where I am a growing person spiritually, emotionally, like you've mentioned. I have goals for my life. I'm seeking to better myself. I'm moving forward. That is going to create a dynamic that's going to increase the likelihood of breakthrough in a marriage.
Yeah. Because we all need to build our own identity. Even though the two become one, the two still need their own identity apart from each other. If I only get my identity from my spouse, then I could be in a lot of trouble if things go wrong with our spouse. And there's that fear of what if I lose them? We have to be whole enough that, yes, there's grief, but we're whole enough to go on.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and I, we grow differently. I mean, we enjoy each other. We want to build our relationship together, but we each have different pursuits and different hobbies. I mean, you love interior decorating, and on that, and and so you're growing, you're learning in that. I enjoy sports, and golfing, and I'm growing in my own ability to enjoy life and have fun and just I've got also passions, just in developing leaders and just honoring each other's growth and how to encourage each other and understand each other, because the way you grow is different than the way I grow. All right, so that's keep growing. We're talking about investing. We're talking about sowing seeds, and so the next one is keep respecting. Keep respecting each other. And we've shared, and if those of you who've listened to some of the other teachings we've done on marriage, and we talk about Dr. James Dobson. We after we got he's famous for focus on the family, leading that, and after we got married, one of the things that really stood out to us is that he talked about respect and having a standard of respect within the household, for one another, for our children, how we talk to people, how we talk about other people. The words of our mouth really are powerful indicators of whether there's respect and honor within our hearts.
Yeah, and I think always watching how you speak. You can say the right things, but the Spirit writing on your words can cause it to be misunderstood. So if I want to get an idea across of something that maybe is bothering me, I first have to get my spirit and emotions a little bit under control so that even though I'm saying something right, it doesn't come across as, belittling him or non-respect. One of the things that I do in my mind is and this was when we first got married, is how would I say this to my husband if my pastor was in the room?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I just like to have a little, because have you realized you talk differently if someone you respect is in the room? So that's one of the measurements I like to use in my tone of voice and how I say it. And the other thing is, when we honor someone, we have to realize that if we're afraid of someone, it's impossible to honor them. And Steve and I are so different. He's very much into the Word. I am very much into the Spirit. We both love both now, but we were really lopsided for a while. And I was always afraid of him because I thought he would use the word legalistically, and I never perform well under legalism. And so it was hard to respect his love for the word because my fear of how he would use the word kept getting in the way. And so God told me, Wendy, you can't honor what you're afraid of. You need to just get rid of the fear. And if he does use it in a legalistic way, you need to be whole enough that you can just say, okay, that's fine, but not take it on myself as legalism. I don't have to do it under the spirit you spoke it in.
Yeah, I like how, you said, how would you say it if the pastor is in the room? Sometimes people say, well, I can't control it. It's interesting, how there may be just an argument and then the phone rings. And this is in the old days when, you had the old landline, yeah. You argue, and then you answer, oh, hello, oh, hi, pastor, hi, oh, yeah, everything, yes, is fine, and it just talks about how we can control it, and I think our differences, you're more spontaneous, and so I might get frustrated because I don't think maybe you're aware of time as much as you should be. So how to deal with that internally, feel like we're late, but having a standard that, okay, this is, and we don't always, I remember it just was a week or two ago, I remember coming in and apologizing and saying, Wendy, how I said that was wrong. How I said that, and it's not that we do everything right, but once we have a standard of respect, then if we violate that, then there's a problem. And I want to say, too, that sometimes in a teaching like this and with respect, and, we can go to the other extreme of never talking about things because I'm respectful. I've got, only good emotions, good thoughts towards my wife. And so then that we can go to an extreme in that to where we just pretend
right.
everything's fine when everything's not fine. And then what happens then is that it's kind of like a rumbling volcano. It's going to blow at some point.
Yes.
And in the name of, in the name of trying to be respectful, but not actually communicating. And so that's just something that we need, because dysfunction in communication really only happens when we're frustrated and angry, and that's the only time we communicate, rather than learning how to communicate difficult matters in a respectful way by asking good questions. And even the declaration that Melinda had us do, is I seek first to understand before I seek to be understood. Those principles are so powerful under the umbrella of respect, because I'm actually considering the fact that maybe how I'm perceiving the situation isn't 100% right.
Right. And I think, too, one of the ways to hold respect isn't just I'm going to respect. You actually have to think about the things in their life that you respect.
Oh, wow.
And it's the reasons why you got married. It's easier for me to let go of something that you're not when in the forefront is the things I'm thinking about that you are. I love how safe I feel with him. I love how steady you are, that you're reliable, that if you say you're going to do something, you do it. There are so many things I respect about you, but if I'm not thinking about them, I may just begin to focus on the things that I don't like about you. So to respect means that you've got to train your mind to think about the things that you do respect.
So good, yeah. And because if we don't, and then we fixate on what's wrong,
Yeah.
and then that's going to decrease, which is going to be our last one we'll talk about. It's going to decrease the encouragement because we're only focused on what we believe needs to be improved rather than what's good.
That's right.
All right, so Wendy, we're talking about sowing, planting, and watering. We're talking about keep growing, keep respecting, and now we're going to talk about keep believing. Now, we could spend hours on this because our ministry, Igniting Hope Ministries, and Pieter was talking about Romans 12:1 and 2. Romans 12:1 says we give our bodies as a living sacrifice to the Lord. We surrender our hearts. We let go of controlling our lives and submitting to the Lord's way and to Him. But then Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so transformation, either in our emotions or circumstances, doesn't come from surrendering our heart. It comes from surrendering our beliefs. And where this new covenant is all about believing. We're called believers. And that might tip us off on what we're supposed to be doing.
It could.
And so, we the point that I think is key for us as we seek to move forward is what we believe is more important than what we do.
That's right.
That's it. What we believe is more important than what we do.
Yeah, and I think I was just reminded when I teach, I tell people that one time God told me, never counsel somebody that you don't believe in, that you don't have hope for. And so that's why it's more important what you believe than what you do. Because if you're trying to talk to your spouse, but you don't have any hope or belief that they're able to change ever, the way you speak is going to be out of frustration and anger and irritation, and they're going to sense that. I know for me, my growth really began when he started believing in me. When we first got married, he was always trying to change me into what he thought I should look like.
Boo! Somebody say boo!
But when he focused on the good in me, I was able to receive the criticism. Yeah. But until I knew he saw more good in me than bad, I just resisted the things he wanted to change in me. So we always have to let them know how much we appreciate and the things that I believe in them are, so that we actually have that ability to, maybe say, can you do this differently for me?
Yeah, and the Bible says out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whether it's my spouse, whether it's our children, whether it's people we're teaching, who we believe we're talking to is going to determine the level of empowerment in our words. Who I believe I'm talking to, if I believe I'm talking to a great person. Yeah, and it's challenging. Yeah, we'll talk about this encouragement because we know we're with each other all the time, and there's things about each other we wish were different. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. And so to keep my beliefs on is so important. And I believe it starts in the marriage vows, and I've performed many marriage ceremonies, and people, either use traditional vows or they write their own. But the basic essence of the vows is this: whatever happens, I'm going to choose you again. And that's really the power of that, because the nature of most relationships is excitement and disappointment, and then either disconnection or connection. And it's in the disappointment. Okay, am I going to choose you again? Am I all in? Or are my beliefs, am I in doubt? Am I just doing things out of duty and obligation? Am I not doing things in faith? These are all belief issues that dramatically impact the likelihood of whether I'm going to see what I want to see.
Yeah. And also, just, in most marriages, there's usually maybe one person who is more passive than the other. In ours, it's me. I can move into passivity. And it's harder to believe in the passive person because you don't see them doing anything. But they're the person who needs the most belief. Because the reason people get passive is because they don't believe in themselves. They're afraid to try anything. So it's safer not to have, goals and passions. So they're the ones who actually need to hear all of the belief in them, because that's why it worked so great for me. Is I was passive because I didn't believe in myself. And when he didn't believe in me either, it just stalled my personal growth and our marriage growth. But when he began to believe in me more than I believed in myself, it actually moved me out of passivity into actually wanting to grow.
Yeah, it's really, that's good understanding, okay, the nature of, or the tendencies, or how someone's wired. Think about Hebrews 10:24. It says, "Let us consider one another to stir up love and good works."
Yeah.
And I mean,
Consider.
So I actually need to think about you. You need, because it's not just like a one size fits all. I'm going to do this. This is how I do relationships with every person. No, there's a adaptability, but it really starts with the beliefs. And I like to say this as a leader, as an influencer. I want to be an influencer of you. You want to be an influencer of me. That's what leadership is. It's influence. I work more on what I believe than what I do.
Yeah, so good.
I work on my beliefs, and because, again, we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. Renew, which means means again new. So I determine what I'm going to believe. Yeah. That's the first thing. What am I going to believe about me? I'm a great husband. I'm going to believe that. I'm a great husband. I'm adaptable. I'll thrive no matter what happens. I've got ideas. My prayers are powerful and effective. I'm going to decide what I'm going to believe. And then I renew my mind with that. And then it puts me in a place where those beliefs, it's not that what I do is not important. It is important. But it's not as important, because if I try to do great things with bad beliefs, my beliefs are going to work against what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, they sabotage everything. And I love, we really need to verbalize those beliefs. It's not enough to just hear them today, but verbalize and keep them to the forefront of, I will thrive no matter what happens. I am a good spouse. If you don't believe in yourself, it creates, I remember God telling me, Wendy, your marriage isn't going to fall apart because he doesn't love you. Your marriage is going to fall apart because you can't believe he loves you. Wow. So your belief system actually affects how you receive things from other people, not just how they receive them. And then the other thing I just wanted to say about considering one another, one of the reasons it's so important to consider is sometimes people try doing the same thing over and over to get their spouse to change. If it's been more than 5 years and it's not working, then you might need to reconsider how they're wired and whether what you're doing is helping or hindering. There's always another way. You know, for a long time, he thought I was motivated by the same things he was motivated by. Let's make a list. He loved crossing things off.
I feel good.
Yeah, so he would make lists for me. All that did for me was overwhelm me. I didn't know I had that many things to do today. I think I'll just go back to bed. So he stopped making lists for me because that doesn't work. I'm not motivated by crossing things off. I'm motivated through vision. What is, how is this going to affect my life when it's done? So, always consider and then reconsider. If it's not working, try something else.
Yeah, the Lord's just giving you new ideas because hope, our ministry is called Igniting Hope, and a perspective of hope and joy is the fruit of good beliefs. And any belief system that we have that doesn't have hope attached to it's under the influence of a lie. And we've got many resources, books on that. But I want to move on. So we're talking, about keep growing. We're talking about keep believing. We're talking about keep respecting. Now, the fourth one is this keep prioritizing. And I say this, great leaders have great beliefs, great priorities, and great habits.
Yes. Prioritize time. One of the things that I see is most lacking in marriages is people don't actually schedule time together. Just because you're both existing in the house is not considered togetherness.
It's
Together,
not?
no.
Even if I'm in another room and I text you?
We spent the whole evening
I text
together.
you and I'm in another room. Isn't that togetherness?
You actually need, the way we do it is we'll either go out to breakfast or go out to dinner together, or our favorite is to go have coffee out on the deck or, in the evening or in the morning. Actually getting together where nothing else is going on but us two, or take a walk. You have to schedule it. Don't just hope it happens, even though you think, well, we don't have anything going on tonight. If you don't actually put in 1 hour, 2 hour with spouse, it's not going to happen. You're just going to exist. So prioritize connection.
And we all have different fun things that we like to do. Maybe you like to do hiking together, sporting events together. Maybe you like working on something together, or taking drives together, or leading a ministry together where you're actually really talking not just about what other people, but connecting with each other on it. And so the together piece is part of it, and having fun together. We were thinking, just adding a sixth one to keep investing in is keep laughing. Mm-hmm. The couple that laughs together stays together.
Yep.
And so having fun. So how do we? We don't want to just have, okay, we need to have a good marriage, so let's sit out on the deck and talk. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a legalistic thing, but it's a priority. I remember as a young leader, I would be at the church, and ministering, and come home, and as soon as I walk through the door of my house, the Lord says, "Now your real ministry starts." Mm-hmm. This is your priority. This is, if these people don't respect you, then what's the point of going out and saving the world if you lose your own family? So it is priority, and great influencers live in the time quadrant of the important and non-urgent time quadrant. And non-great influencers live in the urgent and not important time quadrant. And so reaffirming, all right, this is our priority. And it's also not only just time spent, but you touched on it earlier, Wendy, of I'm going to prioritize my growth. And so even in listening to audiobooks on relationships, on marriage, being a part of marriage retreats, obviously these people are smart people.
Yes, they are.
I mean, they're prioritizing their marriage by even being on this Igniting Marriage platform. And so we just commend you for that, because you already have the heart to do that. And I just see the Lord giving you creative ideas of how to prioritize each other, even more dates, and it's important.
It's very important. And it's one of the first things that tends to go if there's a lot of stress and urgency happening in your life. But it's so important because it actually will make the stress and urgent things happening in your marriage work better, is if you're together and you're connecting and laughing. I know for me sometimes it was hard to laugh if I'm under stress, but that's when you need to laugh. It releases the stress. So find ways to make each other laugh, whether it's a joke or doing something silly. Be childlike with each other. One of the things we like to use for our laughter is our dogs. We talk about how weird they are, or our cat. And
we have a weird cat.
yeah. I mean, we make up a whole storyline about their life. They go to the Catholic church, and our cat is the pastor, and our two dogs go to the Catholic church. I mean, find something that works in your marriage to make your spouse laugh.
Woo-hoo. Because to laugh, you have to let go of something. You got to let go. And in the last one, Wendy, and we've already touched on it a little bit through others, but it's called keep encouraging. Keep encouraging. And it's really, because we're all battling just insecurities at some level. We're all battling the fact, can I really do this? Can I really succeed? Do I have what it takes? Especially men. Men really, that is in us. Men need encouragement. I think women obviously need encouragement, but it's a desperate need for a man to feel like they've got what it takes.
Yeah, and if you're not a natural encourager, have little signs around the house or on your phone or something, so it just a reminder pops up. Have you encouraged your spouse today? Whatever it takes to increase, you can't overdo it, but you may need to be reminded until it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And asking Holy Spirit, what do they need to hear? It's a huge investment.
It's really prophecy, because people say, how do I learn to prophesy? I say, become the most encouraging person you know and ask Holy Spirit to take over your encouragement. And the most important person we encourage is ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then secondly is our spouse. Now, those two people are sometimes challenging to encourage.
Yeah.
Because we know each other so well.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't want to encourage you early on because I thought you might think you were okay, mm-hmm. and then stop working on what I felt like you needed to work on.
But instead, what I like to say is that encouragement gives people courage to change.
Yep.
Encouragement gives people courage to change. And the more you encourage, the more free they are. You know, the thing is if you think about a baby learning to walk, we don't focus on the falls. We take the one step and we encourage them in that one step so they can keep trying, so they're not afraid of the falls. But when one spouse is trying to change, you know, to make you happier, don't focus on the times he forgot to do it. Make sure you really cheer the moments where he did remember. Instead of focusing on the falls,
Yes.
cheer for the one success.
Thank you for cheering me on. It's like we got some coffee.
Yay.
I think we're...
But they're backwards.
All right. So, you know, as we begin to wrap this up, this session, and investing, it's really the big point that we're making is, okay, I'm an investor. I'm going to sow seeds. We reap what we sow. And we can't expect a harvest if we're not intentional in our sowing. And obviously, you know, we talk about all this. We talk about encouragement, and you know, sometimes there's great dysfunction and abusive behaviors, and you know, even in that, you know how we communicate, how we're straight on things, how we say things. I mean, the goal again is that we're powerful. The goal is that we realize that we're not a victim.
Yeah, good.
We're not a victim of what our spouse is doing, and rising up and saying, all right, I'm gonna be a powerful person in this relationship, and I'm gonna keep investing. I'm gonna keep growing. I'm gonna keep respecting. I'm gonna keep believing. I'm going to keep prioritizing. I'm going to keep encouraging. And as we do that, again, it puts us in a forward-moving mode. You know, and one of my favorite declarations we have is that my forward movement in life causes Red Seas to part. And we just think that this is a great way to start this. And I know, I mean, you're going to hear some powerful things coming up.
I like the word investing because sometimes we think, oh, I'm just forgiving because I'm supposed to. No, your forgiveness is an investment in your relationship.
Yeah.
Come on.
Your spending time growing personally is an investment, not just something to click off. And so I would recommend maybe even having a sign in your house somewhere that says, have I invested in my marriage today? You know, because everybody's worried about, have I invested enough money to retire?
Ooh.
Well, are you going to retire with your spouse or without your spouse?
A bomb.
So good.
Yeah.
So I think just thinking in terms of every time I decide to talk this through and be honest, I'm making an investment, and the investment has great returns. Great returns.
All right, so hey, team up, 5-minute break, or how long is the break?
5.
5 minutes.
Okay, we bless you with an absolute radical, forward-moving, investing, sowing, just in the spirit like never before. 5 minutes, and then it's Pieter and Melinda. Are you guys next? Yeah. All right. God bless.